Hey all, it's Megan with Digital Do the Brew here, and I am with Sean and Lynn from the Fairfield Opera House, which has been open since 2016. Thank you all so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
2006. It's been open since 2006. Sorry. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good, good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with us and let the folks across Nebraska and maybe across the world. This is a digital event, so let them know what's going on with the Opera House. And so, Lynn, can you guys talk a little bit about the building and the space that you're in to get started?
Sure. Yeah. We, as you said, started in 2006. And actually, this is in an older building. It was actually built in 1894. And the Opera House was actually upstairs, and downstairs it was a grocery store, dry goods, and it's been a number of things over the years. And so I spent quite a few, probably 2 or 3 years renovating the place and trying to get it back a little bit to where it originally was. So it's a pretty neat old building. And then it was probably about 2014, we put the addition on, which we added the brewery to the restaurant. So we were really a restaurant for, 8 or 9 years before we started the brewery.
That's awesome. So, Lynn, how did you get into brewing? What were you doing in a previous life that led you to becoming a brewmaster and a restaurateur?
Oh, gee, I was actually, before I came back here, I was in Washington, D.C., and I worked for the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. And that's kind of where I started doing a lot of home brewing when it started, actually, probably in the 1980s. And so I did a lot of home brewing there. And eventually came back to hometown where I grew up and started the restaurant, which I knew little about, but eventually we got some really good people here, and that worked out. And so I always kind of wanted to start the brewery, and so here we are.
That's great. That's really cool. So from DC back home, are you originally from there then?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. And so, Sean, can you tell me a little bit about what's so great about having a brewery and restaurant in the town that you're in? What makes that special?
Well, there's just really nothing, it's such a small town, like 400 and
Yep.
something people. And the fact that a restaurant like this can survive, and not only that, but thrive in, 12 years now, or 13, no, it'll be 13, it'll be 13 years.
Going on 14 this
14,
fall.
yeah. 14 years. It's kind of a testament to all the people who keep on repeatedly coming in, and the locals just always come in, and the fact that we're able to draw from like farther away, from like, we got people coming like 60 miles away, and that was just for the restaurant. And so it was nice to be able to expand the brewery onto there. And it's just there, you don't really see too many. Well, now we're starting to get a little bit more of them, but in a town this size, see a brewery or a restaurant, it's just, as towns are starting to kind of lose businesses, it's nice that one is actually thriving.
Yeah, yeah. I know that we definitely made the trek over from Hastings to have some beers and a good steak, and so it's nice and it's not too far for us. So yeah, it's really good. Are you guys, when you're not, working in the restaurant, you're at beer festivals? I know you guys are filling your faces at beer festivals. So can you tell us a little bit about, what is your favorite thing about going to a beer fest?
Actually, I think the favorite thing for me is just the people. There are a lot of interesting people, and it's just a lot of fun. Do the Brew is really great, and we see a lot of people that stop by and say, "Oh, we've been to the restaurant. We didn't know you brew beer," and so that's always kind of fun. So probably the best part is just meeting the people, Actually, I like going around and trying out a few of the beers from the other places
I would
as well.
say the people is number one. Drinking on the job is a very close second.
For sure, but that never happens at Beer Fest. I don't know what you're talking about. So when you guys are not drinking your beer, what is a favorite Nebraska beer to drink? And then what is your guys' best seller?
Wow.
That's a toughie for the favorite kind of beer. I really like, see, my favorite, there's two of them. I like First Street's Hastings. That's always, I really like that one. And then I also really am partial to the cross strains Fairy Nectar. Like they have like a hoppier version, like a double version of it. It's really good. And then I was to say, yeah, what's your favorite?
Well, you know, I actually, I don't get out that much, to be honest with you.
Right.
I'm sitting around here doing, but anyway.
I don't just get out much now.
Yeah. I like the beers that you guys brew there. And so I think I've taken several of them home.
Yeah, and I would say our best seller, it kind of depends. I mean, we go on runs on some of them where, like we have a Kolsch that's kind of like a staple. It's like a lighter. So people around here who somewhat aren't used to craft beers or something like that, they usually can nip their toes into it a little bit. And the Kolsch is a good starting off one. But
Yeah.
your IPAs and pale ales and the brown ale, we just seem to we go through it and we don't realize how fast we're going through it. Sorry.
Yeah, we're really, actually, our beers here are pretty basic. We haven't gotten into anything too fancy yet. Kind of introducing a lot of people to the craft beer industry here, and actually, it's gone very well. We've got a lot of people who, initially start out on a Kolsch or the brown ale. That seems like those are the two that people generally start out on, and then a lot of times graduate into other beers as well.
Busch and Bud Light are kings around here, so it's kind of you got to compete against them. So
and actually, we still, we have to offer the mainline beers as well because we're a restaurant, and so we get somebody coming from Hastings with a group of 4 people. One person just absolutely wants a Budweiser, so we gotta have it here.
Yeah. We are, the restaurant side doesn't happen here for us at First Street, so we're able to just expand. But it's really nice to have that opportunity to shift people's perspectives of what craft beer can be, and I think that's something that you guys have definitely done there. And so, you're spreading the knowledge and the palates and having people's palates expand in a place that may not be as expected. So that's a really big thing to do.
yeah, and you're going to run into some people who are just they'll never try new stuff, and you got to cut your losses. But the people around them are more generally amiable to try something different. So
yeah,
but there's always one or two.
Yeah. So, Lynn, you guys donated a couple of items to the auction, and those items are going to be, all proceeds from the items are going to be donated back to the Opera House. So can you talk a little bit about what those items were?
Sure. Yes. Basically, we donated one item, and the item that we donated is an afternoon of Nebraska history and prime rib dinners for 4 people at the Opera House in Fairfield that evening. Basically, I kind of grew up with some of the historic stuff around the local area. And so the tour will start in the afternoon for a small church that's on the National Registry of Historic Places. And it served the rural Czech community. And then we're going to go take a hike for about a mile hike round trip to see where the Oregon Trail and the Fort Riley Trail met. And there's actually still some wagon wheel ruts. They're a little hard to see. You have to use your imagination a little bit, but they're there. And then we're going to go and I guess, visit some of the story and the places where Tom Jones and Elizabeth Taylor were actually lynched in 1885 by a group of local vigilantes. And so it's a kind of an interesting story. So these are places and stories that I grew up with, and I'm going to be the tour guide.
That sounds like a really, really good time. A good way to spend an afternoon. You get out, you get into the fresh air, you get some exercise, and then you fill your belly with delicious prime rib, because your guys' prime rib is top notch, and delicious beer on top of that. So you can't go wrong.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you both so much for joining me today. It's great that we're able to shift the perspective of what a beer festival can be this year, and it's really nice to have you both joining us. And so thank you all very, very much, and we will see you soon. Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Stay healthy.
Yeah.